Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Guys Talking Sports, and I'm your host, Al Qualls. And I'm sorry it took a minute, but we're back, of course. And I got my friend Earl Ross here. What's going on, Earl? How you doing?
Yeah, what's going on?
All right. Well, I really don't have much to talk about as far as, at least as far as the NFL is concerned right now. I know there's been some minor stuff, so I figured we dived in enough, a little bit. We talked about the NFL a lot, the last episode, so I figured we might as well just jump into what really happened as far as the basketball scene is concerned. Of course, the NCAA championships just happened, and of course, Duke winning it all, beating Wisconsin. Uh, just want to get your take on the NCAA and the March Madness now gone.
Well, I think it was definitely exciting. I mean, that's definitely the last couple of games were really, really good. I mean, of course, Duke and Michigan State, that was pretty good. Unfortunately, up until the first half, and then the second half, it was pretty much a done game. But the Wisconsin and the Kentucky game was very good. The Kentucky guys, they just shrunk down the stretch. I mean. You had like freshmen and sophomores going up against, juniors and seniors, and of course, tight game. It was, coming down to the stretch, and the guys, instead of, keep feeding Towns down low, the Harrison twins were just taking some bad shots, and I think Calipari just did a bad, unfortunately, coaching job because, keep feeding the big man. They was giving him one-on-one coverage. They wasn't even double teaming him. I mean, when the double teams did come, it was kind of late. And he was still getting, fouled and not getting the shots up, but I would have kept feeding them, but they just went away and was just trying to hit the threes. And sometimes threes are a good thing to kind of get the crowd into it, but sometimes twos are much much better.
Yeah, I think this was basically. I mean, the whole time they were talking in regards to being all five members being on the same team playing as a team, and I think unfortunately with Kentucky that second half it kind of felt like they got away from that team concept, and they really started playing with more emotion than being a team sport at that point. But kudos to Wisconsin for sticking out, sticking doing what they had to do. Um, I have to admit, I was rooting for Wisconsin to actually win this game. More so the fact that because of all the talk about Kentucky going undefeated, it would have made a more exciting game, of course, if Kentucky played Duke in the finals or whoever in the finals. But I believe that Wisconsin did its job, and kudos to them. Much respect to them for doing what was necessary to pull out the win.
Yeah, I mean, Frank Kaminsky, he was definitely taking it to the Towns down low. I mean, the twists and the turns. I mean, the Decker was just lighting them up from like the outside. I mean, it was just, I mean, they really hit him with a 1-2 punch big time. But they just I was surprised. I actually thought they were going to actually beat Duke. I mean, it was looking pretty good. They held them scrolls for the first 4 minutes. I mean, it was no held well 4 points for the first 4 or 5 minutes, and then the freshmen, whoever that kid is, the white boy. I mean, where the heck he come from? I mean, he just out of almost out of nowhere, but I mean, he just caught fire in that second half, man.
I as far as that the Wisconsin Duke game is concerned, it's pretty much basically I give all the credit to Coach K, uh, because he adapted to the situation, and that's one of the things that you you saw how the first half was. I mean, Wisconsin by all means had them already out on the ropes, but the thing about Coach K was is that he changed up the game plan to make it more effective for his players, and when that change happened, for all purposes, I assumed that the Wisconsin coach, forgot his name, but I assumed that he was going to make some type of change as well to accommodate for to counter those changes. But it seemed like he never did or never got into the position to make a change or adapt to the situation, and it just fell. It fell. Like Coach K did an outstanding job in the second half as far as coaching is concerned in my book.
No, he did. I mean, he definitely, was able to adjust to what Wisconsin was doing, and and laid off the full court press. it came down with a 2-3, and then it was like a movement that was kind of like to do a lot of movement with the ball. They were able to kind of like stifle that a bit, keeping the guys in front of them, bringing over the help over top to Kaminsky, keeping Decker, not even drive the lane. And I mean, the freshmen really did the job that your touted guys. I mean, Okafor and the other guy, was Wilson. I mean, the guys who are supposed to be the name on the quote unquote stars of the team, they had pretty much bad games. In my opinion, that game, the freshmen really, stepped up and, they did what they had to do when it was, money time.
Yeah, and that just goes to show because in actuality, what Coach K did with those freshmen was similar. It should have been what Kentucky have done. I mean, should have done against Wisconsin. And if they would have done it, the tables probably may have turned or may not would have turned. Who knows for sure? But I mean, all in all, the NCAA was definitely a great March Madness, especially in the further the rounds went. It was kind of interesting to see like three number ones in the Final Four. So, I tip my hat to that whole March Madness Final Four, the whole weekend, I should say, because that was truly a great couple of games.
Yeah, I mean, I have my issues with the NCAA as far as they have your, season top 25, and then when you come in, to rank, number one team, as long as they have a soft schedule, might be able to run the table. I mean, I have my issues there, but when you get to the March Madness, everything usually kind of evens out by the time you get to like the Sweet 16 Elite Eight, because usually who's supposed to be there should be there, regardless of who's seeding where and what region. It doesn't really matter. If you're good, you're good. I don't care if you got to fly West Coast or East Coast. If you're good, you can beat that team. Then you should be able to beat that team.
Yes, I definitely agree with that. Definitely
So,
agree with that.
so usually by the time you get to the Sweet 16, at least by the Elite Eight, who should be there is there.
Yes, yes. No, I mean, as far as the team is concerned, you have to bring your A game every time you play. You can't be lax at anything. And you just got to the coaches, their job is to prepare you to make sure that you are aware that this is a one and done game. I mean, you either win or you go home. So,
Yeah, kudos to Coach K. That almost sounds like blasphemy saying kudos to Coach K because I'm not a Duke fan at all. But however, I gotta give it to him, the fact that he's usually a guy that has his guys stay all 4 years, and over the last couple of years, he's had some guys leave after 2 years to 3 years. I mean, you think he might have, Okafor might bounce. I think he will bounce after this year,
mhm.
more than likely. So I mean, he's adapted to the changing times, and it is what it is. I mean, the one and dones is going to be more prevalent going on, and I mean, Kentucky is filled with one and dones.
Yeah.
So it's not a lot of people like it. I'm not a big fan of it, but however, it is what it is.
No, I definitely agree with you on that. But it's and truth be told, I'm not a Coach K fan at all by any means as well. But the thing about it is that like you said, you have to give respect where respect's due. Now, let me ask you a question because recently in an interview, Coach K said that this is by far one of the best teams he's coached in over the past 40 years.
4 or 40.
40 years. I said that's a bold statement to make. I mean, and I would any former Duke player, I would feel kind of, like I would kind of feel some type of way when you hear that from your former coach.
I am shocked. I mean, you go back to at least the 90, 90, 90, 91, 92 season when you had, Christian Leitner, Hurley, Grant Hill, and all them other guys. You mean tell me this squad is better than that squad that won 2 national championships back to back? I have a hard time believing that one. Even when recently the squad had Jay Williams on there, a couple of years back. I mean, you tell me that squad probably just as good, but I don't think that this Duke squad, as it is constructed right now, is better than the 90-91 team. No, I don't see it.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it was puzzling when he said it, so I was just like, wait, it's not like this is your first championship team.
Not at all. I mean, I mean, They're okay. I don't think they're the best. Now, granted, I haven't watched them the entire season. I've maybe watched the Duke team maybe like the last couple of games of the season that they're like into the playoffs, but I don't think they're better than the back-to-back champions of 1991. I don't see that. Because I don't think I can see this team beating that UNLV team when you had Larry Johnson and Greg Anthony, all those guys. I don't see this team beating that old UNLV team that the first Duke championship won. I don't see it.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, like I said, it was just when he said it, it was like a shock. I was like, "What? Like, really?" So, I don't know if it's because it's an emotional attachment to the players he has now, or I don't know. But I just found it very shockingly when he said it. So I'm like, this is you coached a lot of teams, so you saying this, and what are you gonna say next year when other when players come through? So I thought it was just interesting. But one thing I want to go back to and what you were saying is regard the NCAA rules. The format. Do you believe that the format really? I mean, at this point, needs to change?
Format as far as how they do the tournament, or
Yes.
just
The tournament. I'm speaking as far as the tournament is concerned.
I think it should. I think you can tweak it a bit. How, where to tweak it, I'm not sure. I mean, I think it's the way that the way they put teams in certain regions. I think you give certain teams number ones the home field advantage based on the region that you put them in. Like I think Duke had the South region, which was pretty much a cakewalk for them, and no, Duke had the East region, I think it was right.
Yeah, I believe so. I haven't looked at the brackets, but I believe they had the East.
I think Duke was the East, and I think Kentucky was the South. So you basically gave those two teams easy marches through. And I think Villanova was the North, and Wisconsin was maybe the West. But I think over the past years, it's been a little bit flipped, basically where they put teams at because you have to travel from the East Coast to the West Coast. So I think, in my opinion, you should scrap out regional altogether. I mean, if you're going to play, 64 teams, then you should send people all over the place because it shouldn't really matter where it got. Like, you should have Duke instead of the East. Put Duke as the West, or put Kentucky as the North, or put vice versa. Flip it up, make it a little bit more easier instead of giving these one seeds easier paths to the Elite Eight or the Final Four. Because to me, I think it's. I mean, a perfect example. If you want to go NCAA, you look at the girls in NCAA. I think it's a complete joke. I mean, I think they make UConn an easy walk every year, and I think it's a completely. I think it's a farce, in my opinion.
No, that I agree. I wasn't really gonna get into the whole Kentucky the women's side of thing, but I definitely agree with you what you're saying about that is concerned. For some reason, I just believe. I mean, at this particular point, like, what's the harm of getting Kentucky a harder schedule at this point? I mean, like like you said, their game sometimes is a cakewalk, and I feel as though that they need to they need to force Kentucky to play a stronger schedule. I believe
Yeah.
because at this point you can't expect. I know a lot of teams may not want to play Kentucky, but because of their prestige and everything. But right now you have you know you just can't give a team like that just the easy way out. I would rather them earn it some way, shape, or form where if they go through every top 20, like the top 25 team, and if they go through like that schedule with every like all the top 25 teams they face, and then beat them beat them, then I can then I'm like, all right, you get your props because you beat pretty much everybody that you need to beat. I mean, I just feel as though that sometimes not just Connecticut, but just sometimes teams are given a easier schedule to because they want to see them move forward. The further they go, the better it is for ratings.
Yeah, and I mean, of course, like you said, ratings, advertisement. I mean, Kentucky was heralded as the undefeated team that's going to, march to the tournament and win. And I mean, they gave them the South region because number one, and I'll give him that. I mean, you ran the table, you got the number one seed, then you should be able to host at least regional starting off in your region. So I'll give him that. But don't put the weakest of the two, three, four, in your particular, thing. Not, I mean, all right, maybe some, but not all. I mean, it was a cakewalk up into Notre Dame, and truth be told, they should have lost Notre Dame.
Yeah, no, that I agree. They should have lost that game. There should have been no reason why they. That's neither here nor there. Yeah, the NCAA. I think they did. The NCAA do need to tweak some things around, but it's difficult when you have a power. The NCAA controlling everything, and I don't think that they're trying to let go of anything at this point. I mean, look how hard it was for the NCAA's to get the playoff system in for the football season. So
And, well, we won't even talk about that for a couple of months because we can spend a whole
yeah,
conversation on that one because I think the playoffs it's better than what they got. Put it like that.
yeah. That is true. That is true. Um, I mean, that's pretty much all I have in regards to the NCAA's, unless you wanted to add something else.
No, I guess right now, I mean, kudos to Duke. Good Lord, I have to say that.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm not even gonna say kudos to UConn women's because what else does anybody really expect?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm wondering down. I mean, when they're gonna actually lose is probably gonna be a big story headliner. You know, I mean, than anything in the I mean, in the college women's college basketball. I mean, let's be truthful. I'm wondering how the ratings were for the women's college basketball. The fact that you know it was Kentucky and I mean not Kentucky, Connecticut and Notre Dame. Was it Notre Dame?
Yeah, it was.
Connecticut and Notre Dame again. Based between those two teams, it's just I'm wondering how to rate for the women's as a whole. I don't think I think that they won't get no buzz going unless somebody actually beats Connecticut.
And I mean, you need other team that's out there that's not your top tier teams. You need someone who's not a Connecticut, who's not a Notre Dame, who's not a Tennessee,
Yeah,
or even Duke women's. I mean, South Carolina, I was really pulling for Dawn Staley and her squad to really get up in there and just kind of mix things up. But they lost. But it's got to be somebody out of that little bubble of three or four teams that's been pretty much holding the women's national championship for the last 5 years.
yeah. No, I
Actually,
completely.
actually, let me phrase that for the last 10 years.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, when you think about it, they've really been holding it down for that long, and I would really like to see some more competitiveness from the other teams to make it more interesting. I mean, because right now it just seems as though that it's really nothing, no one other. I mean, it really is gonna do anything to at least show competitiveness against whether it's Notre Dame or whether it's Connecticut. So, and like, I mean, I would not like to be honest. It's gonna probably be them the same two again next year.
I agree. I mean, you either going to have UConn or Notre Dame, UConn or Duke. UConn, I mean, Tennessee has been off for a couple of years ever since Pat Summitt stepped down. But it's you're going to have like at least it's going to be at least at the end of the day, realistically, 4 or 5 teams for the women that's really is really going to battle for it. I mean, everybody else is playing second fiddle.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Um, so I hopefully it gets better down the road as far as the NCAA as a whole. But the politics behind that that's a story for another day. Um, if you real quick, we could jump in a little bit into the NBA since the playoffs is almost coming around the corner. Um,
Haha.
yeah. Real quick, uh, the MVP race. Uh, who do you have it down to? And as a, I mean, like who? Let's just call it like I see it. who do you have it down to as far as the MVP race is concerned with the remaining games left?
I'm a little conflicted about this statement because I hate that they tie MVP to the best record team
Hmm.
because, in my opinion, sometimes the best team in the league, the best player is not always the MVP, in my opinion. So I think that probably right now, I think Steph Curry is probably going to win it for a variety of reasons, and not just because he might be the best player, but there's probably some advertisement, fresh new face, other stuff that all is going to involve. In my opinion, as much as I think he's a jerk a lot of times, Westbrook was really making a serious case the last month about being the MVP. He's kind of slipped a little bit the last maybe week and a half or so, but I mean he was dropping some serious dimes. So if I can say that he could be MVP if he kept it up, and that was the big thing, if he was going to be able to keep it up from when he started a month ago up until end of the season, I would give it to Westbrook. But I would probably say right now, unless I see anything different, probably Stephen Curry.
Okay. Okay. I have to admit I agree with you on that aspect. I had really had it boiled down between Steph Curry and James Harden, especially doing what the amount of work he's done without Dwight Howard. Um, but I have to admit, I do have to say this in regards to the responses I was getting on Twitter about this, and this is really was a pet peeve of mine these past couple of days. Uh, I don't understand why people are keep mentioning this, but I have to say this: LeBron James at this point right now does not deserve this year's MVP. I'm sorry.
That would be a complete that would a complete shame if he got it somehow.
To be honest, he shouldn't even be in the running.
No.
Um, and it's so funny that media right out there is portraying that he should be in the running for MVP. Don't get me wrong, these past couple of games that he's played, he's been magnificent. But throughout the whole season, it was no comparison between Steph Curry and James Harden.
No, I
Um,
mean, you have these, you have these, the TV like ESPN, CBS News that be sitting there when the start of the season first begin. You got, oh, we got him, LeBron James, the MVP candidate. The season just started. Not even one game really played. You mean telling me he's already the leading MVP candidate? Give me a break. And then he
no,
took
I,
what?
I
Then he took
agree.
2 or 3 weeks off out of injury, and then when he came back, he took another 2 or 3 weeks of not doing anything.
No, I completely agree. And to be honest, all jokes aside, I didn't think that. I mean, of course he's one of the best players in the league, but to me, the person that was really carrying the Cavs wasn't even LeBron. He was helping out, but I think Kyrie Irving deserves much more credit in regards to helping out the Cavs get to where they are, and just as equally deserving as LeBron James. You can't put that whole the whole season of winning, the whole win loss thing on just LeBron himself. He did not carry that team to where the record is right now. He had help this time around with Kyrie Irving. I mean, it was nice when Kyrie Irving carried the team more so than LeBron. So it was just so I was just so amazed the fact that they was even considering adding him into the MVP mix. Like seriously, like it was only three people in the conversation to me, and that was Harding, Steph Curry, and Westbrook. Nobody else should be even in the conversation, as far as my concern is. Like Westbrook at this point was a higher MVP rating. I would rank him higher than LeBron James is. I wouldn't even put LeBron James fourth. I would give him fifth, like literally. There's other teams out there that's doing just as well and equally deserving MVP candidates. So um, I just thought that it was just I was just shocked the fact that they would include them, but I wasn't surprised because of how media is.
Yeah, and I always look at, most valuable players, like you take that person off that team, what does that team do? I mean, you take Steph Curry off their team, they don't win 60 plus games, but I think they're still somewhat competitive.
Hmm.
You take, LeBron James off the Cleveland Cavaliers. they're still competitive with Kyrie Irving, and then I'm pretty sure Kevin Love will probably automatically have game will come up. He's going
Yes.
after this season, I believe.
Yes.
Uh, you take James Harden off the Rockets, they suck because no Dwight Howard. You take Westbrook off, Oklahoma City Thunder, they suck because they don't have any Durant. So between me, valuable out of that would be in between Westbrook and Harden, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And you saw how that was with when Westbrook and Durant was out, how the team suffered. I mean, like to be honest, if if Westbrook was there from day one and was healthy, they would be at a higher seed than where they was now. So for them to be fighting in the playoffs, I completely agree. Would give them much more. I would give them too much more deserving. But like you said, at the end of the day, it's probably going to end up going to Steph Curry because, of course, they have the best record in the NBA right now, and he's definitely one of the main reasons for that.
Yeah,
Um,
and like I said, like they got the best record, and I think the NBA is looking to bring on more fresh, more marketable faces, and Stephen Curry is definitely that.
Yeah, and by all means they should. By all means they should. But I was going back to that discussion because you know what, I remember what sealed it for me. It was the LeBron actually quoted saying that he should deserve to get an MVP. If he voted, he would vote it for himself to be MVP. That's what started it.
Well, who wouldn't?
That's what started it. And a lot of people was agreeing with him. I that's what started it for me. That's what kicked it off. Um, but that's neither here nor there. All right. One more thing I wanted to talk about, and that was Byron Scott. Did you hear Byron Scott talk about his players, his own
No,
players?
no, I missed it.
He basically I'm just paraphrasing, but basically he said that his own players would probably turn around and stab him in the back, something to that nature, um, where he wasn't. I have to go back to the quote, but he mentioned something about the players stabbing him in the back. They wasn't. Um, I gotta look it up. I gotta look it up. Let me double check what he said. He said I went. He said most of the Lakers, most of the Lakers would. He said this is his quote. He took shots at some of his Lakers and said, "Let me go back up." I got a sense that a whole lot of them, I wouldn't want them to be in a foxhole. Wait, I got a sense of a whole lot of play of them. I guess you're talking about the players. I wouldn't want to be in a foxhole with. I think they end up shooting me in the back. So I've got a pretty good sense of guys that I think are going to be around that we will build together in the process and go through it.
That's wow. Wow.
Like I said, I for one of the things from a coach's standpoint is like that's something that you probably wouldn't want to say to
Mm.
I mean in general to the media, even if you think that. I think that's like one of those like open mouth insert foot type of comments because I mean I understand you trying to be honest, but the ramifications of it, you know, you throwing your players that you coach under a bus, saying majority of them you don't even trust. I mean, how crazy is that?
I mean, yeah. I mean, it reminds me of some things. I don't think to that particular degree that Phil Jackson would say, but he would do stuff to kind of motivate players. I mean, he chastised Kobe in the media a lot, but I don't think he's ever completely. Well, let me take that back. He says things about the Knicks and deserving of it, but
Yeah,
back in
yeah,
them Lakers and Chicago Bulls days, I don't think I've ever heard him go there about that kind of statement. But just my first glance, saying that some of these guys, he would want them in a foxhole and they would shoot him in the back, and you can already kind of tell the character. If I'm getting your wording correct,
Hmm.
of some players that might not be there. I think he's already setting the stage of saying that, hey, you had Kobe out for the whole year. So I think this wasn't actually a good barometer for him to kind of see exactly what kind of talent he has on that Lakers squad and who he's going to keep
Yeah.
and who is not going to be there. And from that statement, I get a sense that a lot of them players are probably more than likely not going to be there come next season.
And rightfully so, I can understand that. But if I'm a free agent, do I really want to consider going to LA with a coach who, you know, would put me on blast if if the trust ain't there? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's the respect I can understand. Like, if you playing for, you may not like the coach, but you will respect him, or say, what, I'll do what I need to do. But as a free agent, an attractive free agent, I mean, something like that in the media, I would have my concerns about.
Yeah, rightly so. I mean, you don't know what they're going to say about you. I mean, it's I I don't know. It's we have to see how that plays out. But like I said, it's if I was a free agent and heard them statements, it would definitely make me think twice. You know about going there. Money aside, you'll think twice.
Yeah, definitely. But on a side note, they should really keep Jordan Clarkson. I mean, they could definitely build around him. But that's just neither here or there. But huh, um,
So let me ask you a question. What I'm throwing out there.
okay.
Um, because I was listening to a little bit on the news this morning. They were talking about it on Mike and Mike. Unfortunately, I think that your feelings about Steve Kerr, how much how much credit he's getting for the success of the Golden State Warriors as opposed to Mark Jackson. Do you think he's getting enough or not enough? I mean, too much or just enough?
Um, Personally, I believe that I think it's just I haven't really heard a lot of praises about Steve Kerr. Um, and technically he didn't build it from scratch, so I can kind of understand. They added Draymond Green. I think the coaching changes, the philosophy has changed to the point where it made Golden State. It took Golden State from a good basketball team to a better basketball team to to where they are right now, which is an elite. I mean, you have to consider them being elite, being having the best record right now this season. I think the philosophy has changed to the point where he does deserve the credit. Now, with that being said, you know you cannot help but give some of that credit to Mark Jackson.
I agree.
Um, because he built. I mean, you basically what you did was just tweak the mindset and the offense of a Golden State team that was already going in the right direction. You just made it tweak so that they are in that perfect direction for them. Um, I, I I mean, the addition of Draymond Green, the philosophy, like I said, the philosophy has changed. I give Kerr the credit for making the transition from taking a team from a good to a great team. That's as much, but he didn't build it from scratch, technically. To be honest, from a rookie standpoint, him being a rookie coach, I have to give him credit where credit is due. Um, but Jackson does have to take some of that. You have to give some of that credit to Jackson as well. To be honest, I was split it. I mean, because Jackson helped build that team to where it got to, and Kerr's now taking that team, to where it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I think Jackson got to a certain point. Obviously, with some of the additions they had on the offseason, like you said, Draymond Green, then you got Sean Livingston, your point guard coming off the bench, no doubt, making matchup nightmares across the board. It's just crazy. I mean, he didn't have that bench that they have now, which is pretty darn deep, which is the reason why I think, in my opinion, they're probably the best team in the West by 10 games. But I mean, March didn't have that. Steve Kerr kind of got that, but like you said, Mark Jackson kind of helped build the nucleus of that team. There was some more added pieces added to the offseason. Then you bring a more, I guess we'll call it a light going coach, maybe the good cop to the bad cop kind of thing. And it's
Hmm.
like, it looks like, I won't say they were playing wound up, but it looks like they're a lot more relaxed, a lot more, you know, laid back to a certain extent, not all wound up and tight like it looked like when they were the Mark Jackson days. Because Mark Jackson, for all accounts, is pretty hard nosed, old school kind of coach, and you get Steve Kerr comes in maybe a little bit easier, pat people on the back more than getting on them, and I think maybe that's allowed them to play a little more freely, maybe a little bit more, with less worry. But yeah, you have to still. I think it's getting maybe it should be 50-50, like you said, because Steve Kerr didn't create that team. He kind of inherited the nucleus, the majority of it. He just got to add the pieces, able to coach a little bit better, and they're like 10 games better than number two in the West. Will they win the whole West? I hope they do. I think they're going to get torched by San Antonio if they catch them in a 7 game series, because I don't think they're going to beat San Antonio in a 7 game series, in my personal opinion. But I like to be proven wrong.
Nah, to be honest, I agree. I mean, like I said, I like change. As much as I mean, San Antonio is playing hot right now, and I do like the Spurs, but I would love to see the Warriors in the finals. Just to be different, you know. Uh, Definitely I would prefer to see the Warriors out of any other team. Warriors or Spurs to me, that Warriors or Spurs, I'll be okay with either one of them at this point, but I would prefer the Warriors just to get so that they can have their shine in there. And I also would prefer the Hawks to make it in there as well. Now, the Hawks, I believe that coach should be coach of the year,
Oh my God, should he?
like without even question. And they set the. I mean, to be honest, they and it's crazy because the only thing that they really did was follow San Antonio's mythology and San Antonio's offense, and they basically just took that and ran with it. And like it's so amazing how like something simple as that got to the where they are right now. And I don't care what anybody says in regards to their lack of playoff experience. I really believe that they will make I really believe that they'll make the finals. I believe that they could beat any team in the East in a 7 game series. I'm
Mm.
that confident. As much as Cavs, I, to be honest with you, I understand, but I just don't. The Cavs are not there yet, to me, in my opinion. Chicago is still lacking. I mean, even though Derrick Rose came back tonight, they're still lacking an identity to me. Um, I really believe Atlanta is playing the best basketball right now in the East by far.
No, I agree. I think they're playing the best basketball. I think that, I think Cleveland, I think this Cleveland Cavaliers team, as they are right now, if they're playing as they are right now, I think LeBron James, if he takes over the game on his own with Kyrie Irving, could be enough, and probably could be enough to probably, if they met the Warriors in a 7 game series, beat them in a 7 game series. I think so, but I don't think this Cleveland Cavaliers team could beat the San Antonio Spurs in a 7 game. Not close, because this Cavaliers team is not even as good as the Miami Heat team of last year. The defense not even as good as the team last year that he was on the Miami Heat. I think the Spurs. I think the Spurs beat them in 5. If they play the Warriors, I think they'll get them in 7. But I could be wrong.
I know. I just like I said. Me personally, I just don't see them making the finals.
I don't want to
Um,
see them make the finals either, but
yeah, but you can never count out
I'm
LeBron.
still not a believer in the Hawks just yet. Not. I need to see some playoff games before I can really say, yeah, they got it.
I'm not gonna front. When I saw them play the Cavs, the last game on I saw them play the Cavs, that's what made me a believer. And truth be told, they took Indiana, the Pacers last year to a 7 game series without even Al Horford in the mix. So
And they should have won that one.
exactly my point. So, they was just an all-star away from taking care of business and moving on to the next stage. Uh, like I said, their philosophy has changed to the point where their defense has stepped up tremendously. Um, the, I, I'll put it like this: I've seen enough games to start to believe at this point. Um, I would not be surprised, like I said before, I would not be surprised if the Hawks make it to the finals. And I would love to see them. To be honest, I would love if the Hawks make it to the finals. I would love them to play the Spurs because it's the same style. Either the
Uh,
Spurs or Warriors. To be honest, I would be totally satisfied with that.
the news media and the advertisements wouldn't like it.
Well, hey, I mean, and to be honest, you know, that's the problem now. Like so many, the media and the news, they want to see what they want to see, and I'm not. All right, let me take that back. It's not a problem. It's an opinion. They would prefer, to have the star-studded playoffs. I can understand that, but to me, I rather just. It doesn't matter what team gets in. I would like to root for the people that doesn't have that opportunity, never had that opportunity, and I feel as though that those people that don't have an opportunity will get that opportunity to shine in the playoffs and actually become stars. Like you could take, for example, going back not when Miami before LeBron, the last time when they won the finals against Dallas, I think it was, and I think it was
Yeah.
Dallas. It was Dallas,
Yeah.
where Shaq was there, and nobody really didn't know that much about Dwayne Wade until he showed up in the finals, and then he became a star. So like those are the type of teams that I want to see. Like somebody could easily become a star, just don't know about it yet. You know what I'm saying? Like Al Horford could be the next star, like similar to how Tim Duncan was, or Paul Millsap could be like Manu, or like Jeff Teague, like Tony Parker. Like you have those, like somebody it's like a breakout moment. I'd rather see a breakout star in the making than seeing the same star over and over again.
I
That's just
totally
my opinion.
No, I totally agree. I mean, if it's always going to be the same people, it's going to be your San Antonio Spurs and LeBron James with every team he's playing on. It gets boring. It gets boring fast. What I love to see Golden State Warriors and Atlanta Hawks in 7-game series in the playoffs. I think it would be exciting and fun and good to watch. Do I think personally it's going to end up that way? Probably not, but I would love to see it. With
Yeah.
the advertisement people and in NBA really want that. I think they really want the Golden State Warriors and Cleveland Cavaliers in the final. To be perfectly honest,
Yeah, I could see that too. I could see that
that's
being the case.
that's what they want. They don't want Cavaliers and Spurs, even though I think Spurs may get there. But I'm pulling for the Warriors all the way to the NBA Finals.
And the road starts and ends there, so it's their opportunity for them to make the best of it. So
If he could pull a move off like he did against Chris Paul, even though he stepped on his foot when he shook him and then hit that J on the baseline against LeBron James, that would make my complete year.
imagine the replays over and over again. Twitter would blow up. Everything, every social media would blow up if that ever happened.
Chris Paul's getting clowned already, but let that happen against, King James. My goodness.
Yeah, yeah. I'm hearing that the Clippers are now the bullies of the NBA.
Yeah, because here's my thing with the Clippers. Okay, Los Angeles Lakers. Los Angeles is still a Lakers town, no matter what.
Hmm.
The last couple of years, you've been better than the Los Angeles Lakers. This is your perfect opportunity to put your stamp on LA and say, hey, we are here. We are better than Lakers. We're here to stay. What have they done? Nothing. Nothing. You got a prime example. You got Kobe Bryant has been hurt for the last 2 years. His next year is going to be his farewell song. He ain't doing much. The Lakers are not going to be that good for the next couple of years until they start moving some pieces around, and depending on who they bring in free agency, because they got like a ton of money under the cap coming in the next year. These last couple of years have been your prime time to say, Los Angeles is our team, it's our town, and you're not gonna do nothing with that. You've been given LA on a platter by the Lakers over the last 3 years. Really, four if you really want to call it that.
Yeah, no, that's never gonna happen. And I've been having a Twitter war with that as well. That's never gonna happen. The Lakers could be the worst team for 12 years straight. Still gonna be the only. I mean, the Clippers can win two championships in the next 3 years. Won't matter. Everybody's gonna be diehard Laker fans. No matter what. They don't. Clippers don't have no chance to really take LA from the Lakers. The same thing I was talking about as far as with Brooklyn and New York. New York has is nothing but diehard Knicks fans. Then, like I said, similar situation. Knicks fans is the worst team, one of the worst teams in the NBA going right now. But yet, this talk is still about the Knicks. The Knicks can make the playoffs and upset whoever in the first round. Wouldn't matter because they just weren't. All the talk is still going to be about what the Knicks is going to do in the off season.
It's gonna be like the Yankees and the Mets. I mean, New York is, no matter how you slice it, it's still a Yankees town. I mean, the
Yeah.
Mets are good and they have their half of the side of New York, but it's still Yankees, New York, straight through and through.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what it is. I mean, the diehard fans is going to stick to the teams no matter what through thick and thin, and that's why when the Nets made the move to Brooklyn and they was claiming, oh, we're going to take over New York. I'm like, how? I mean, you just can't. You're not. I mean, and I said that I was like, how are you going to take over New York when 80% of the fan base is all Knicks? Like, come on. Like, you really gonna have to do a lot of damage, to like the Knicks would have to leave in order for you to take over the city. Same thing with the Lakers. The Lakers would have to leave LA for the Clippers to take over that city. Same thing with the Mets. I mean, you basically that's it. There's no way that when you have a fan base that grew up in watching the same team over and over again to the point where they're inheriting their kids to watch the same team over and over again, you built a fan base that cannot be broken down.
Yeah, and I think especially I never thought that the Nets move to Brooklyn was a smart idea anyway because you're going into another person's town, no matter how far away from Madison Square Garden you're going, you're still in New York and it's still Knicks. I think eventually, I think with the money that Steve Ballmer has, that he has invested into the Clippers, I see the Clippers probably getting out of Los Angeles within the next maybe 5 years.
That would be interesting enough to see because they definitely need to take care of that. As far as the team is concerned, they need to understand that these teams are not going nowhere. And if they're not going nowhere, then it's basically, you're always going to be second fiddle. That's basically you're just going to have to accept that. All these teams are going to be second fiddle to the teams that are I mean the big teams because that's just how it is. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I know I took up much of your time. We stayed on longer than I expected. So,
Ah,
um, but you know how we always do. Um, I would like to thank my special guest, host Earl Ross, for stopping by and chatting with us, talking sports. I
all
really
right.
appreciate it, man.
Oh, no doubt, man. Always a pleasure, man.
All right, to all the other people that's checking out, as far as the questions, keep bringing them in. As far as the comments, keep letting me know. Catch me on Twitter. Catch guys talking sports all over on YouTube. I'll send out the links. Catch me on Twitter. Again, we'll continue to talk about more about sports as we normally do on a regular basis. But for now, this is Al Qualls, and I'm signing off. Check you out later. One.
Peace out.